Welcome back, America, and welcome back, world. This is Rip Curl reporting for EWPN Network, where we are prepared to give you and bring you the news that matters. Are you prepared to hear it? So let's get to it. As some of you may know, according to the Associated Press, Joe Biden on Tuesday ordered a record-setting 50 million barrels of oil to be released from our strategic reserves and help bring down energy costs in coordination with other major energy-consuming nations, including India, United Kingdom, and China. That will be relevant in a minute in the op-ed section. The U.S. action is aimed at global energy markets, but also helping Americans cope with higher inflation and rising prices ahead of Thanksgiving and winter travel. Gasoline prices are at an average of $3.40 a gallon, more than 50% of what they were last year this time, according to the American Automobile Association. From the president, quote, "While our combined actions will not solve the problem of high gas prices overnight, it will make a difference," unquote. Quote, "It will take time, but before long you should see prices drop at the gas pump where you fill up your tank," unquote. The government will be moving barrels into the market mid to late December. Gasoline usually responds at a lag to changes in oil prices, and administration officials suggest this is one of the several steps towards ultimately bringing down costs. Okay, so I want to take a look at this a little bit. When we look at the price of what it was last year, which was half of what it was now, those were a direct result of decisions made by a prior administration to make us energy independent. That is why we had gas prices below $2, sometimes even below $1.50 a gallon. And what was done immediately upon a new administration? All of those changes trying to get us independent on our own and not reliant on other sources and other countries that may not have our best interests at heart were all canceled and stopped. And there were many, and we don't need to rehash them. We'll stick with just the energy ones. To me, to help bring prices down, firing up pipelines immediately and hiring back millions of people, or tens of thousands at least, would be a better way to make not only a short-term change, but a long-term change for the future. That's my opinion. But supposedly, and let's do the math here, because I think Americans are getting smart enough, as well as people around the world, to be able to do the math, do the further research we should be doing, asking the hard questions to get the truth. How many barrels of oil do we use in one day in America? We use approximately 18 million barrels. That's not quite half of what was released, of which the 50 million barrels, 18 million barrels are going to China and India. But earlier in the quote, it said that we were working with these nations to help our problems with inflation and higher prices of fuel. How is giving away our strategic, now keep in mind, strategic reserves are meant for catastrophic events in our country, catastrophic natural disasters where we need to get fuel like now, and for conflicts that we get ourselves into or are brought to our door. Now, that puts us in a particularly vulnerable situation. But let's put it into perspective. We're only really talking about 1 day's worth of barrels of oil for fuel. If I pay you for 1 day's worth of work, it'll help you out, but will it eliminate or even soften the blow of inflation? Will it make any long-term differences in how you live and what you can afford to get so you can survive? I know with me personally, it wouldn't. It's like a drop in the bucket, kind of like, well, those little payments we got when we had to stay home. See, they don't think of real solutions. When you look at it and you do the math and you find out it's only really a day, and to add to that, were you aware that the type of oil in those barrels is one of the harder ones to have refined? So we're having to ship it overseas to get it refined by the same people that may be causing some of these issues. So in the end, it will take longer and it will cost more to refine this kind of crude. That's an interesting fact, isn't it? Now, how is that going to really affect? So even though it's a day's worth of oil, is the price really going to be cheaper once it's refined and goes back and gets finally to the distributors and then the people at our pumps? I don't think it will. I think if anything, we'll see a superficial drop that might even be mandated. Not saying it is, just could be, or being influenced in some other ways for appearance's sake. My opinion is this is nothing more than a desperate move in order to slow down the plummeting approval ratings of somebody that isn't willing to make the real decisions that need to be made, and maybe even humble himself a little bit in order to say, I may have been rash and quick to some ending of programs that were already in place, and maybe we should fire those up again. Because I'm wrong every day, and it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to acknowledge that, and it's even better when you make another choice to change or improve it. So with that being said, I want you guys to ask those hard questions. Leave comments here at the EWPN channel, which will be in the description. Go to the descriptions, and I'll even drop it in the comment section when I post this video to make sure you know how to get to the EWPN channel. Because eventually, we'll be not only posting on our individual channels, the reporters that we have in the network so far up to date, but we'll also be posting them over there. And hopefully we can grow that to a point over there where every story will start there so that everybody can see it. But right now, we're trying to make a proactive move to be able to get information out, get people thinking, waking people up, and getting them to ask the right questions and be proactive themselves to say, we see what that really is, and we don't like it, or we will not comply. Just thoughts. Anyway, until next time, this is Rip Curl Readiness saying adios.